Welcome to my third video on self-esteem and the inner critic. In my previous two videos, I discussed how the inner critic, the disapproving inner voice, arises and how to track him down. Today, I will explain how to manage him. This is the next step in order to deal with your inner critic and to boost your self-esteem. If you are new here and haven't watched my previous videos yet, make sure to check it out first. I leave the links in the description below. But also subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content I publish every week. I am a healthcare psychologist and therapist, and I make videos on psychology and mental health topics. Your inner critic makes you doubt yourself, think you are worthless, and makes you feel bad. However, your inner critic can also have a positive function because he tries to fulfill your certain needs. For example, the need to do everything right, the need to perform, or the need to control negative feelings, such as fear of failure, fear of rejection, anger, or frustration. Self-criticism is often about certain subjects. When you analyze your critical thoughts, you can find out what their purpose is. Usually, they have a special meaning. If you can figure out the subjects of your inner critic, you will be able to fight back. Sometimes, that critical voice is just like an anxious child who needs reassurance. Anyway, it doesn't work at all to ignore the inner critic. It will never go away on its own, and it takes much energy to ignore the inner critic. Instead, you can exercise in dialogue with the inner critic by following the next steps. You may begin by imagining that you are in a safe place where you feel relaxed, comfortable, safe, and protected. Then imagine inviting your inner critic into this place to have an important conversation with him. You can imagine your inner critic as a person and even give it a name. First of all, listen to the thoughts associated with that negative feeling of you. Find out what the inner critic offers you. The best is to write it down. Pay attention to false advantages and disadvantages and what it costs you. Next step is to talk back. Begin the dialogue by acknowledging that you know the inner critic has been trying really hard to protect you. Say something like, "I appreciate that you came into my mind, trying to protect me, but I am going to try this anyway, and I will see what happens." Or something like, "Thanks, but no thanks." Just talk back by repeating short core sentences. Instead of replying no, you can try to reply yes and, which means that you are listening to your inner critic and then contribute additional thoughts. In response to a thought like, "You are stupid," you could answer, "I may struggle at times, but I am smart and competent in many ways." Here's another example. Let's say your inner critic is telling you something like, "You never do anything right." So instead of trying to fight this commentary, acknowledge it because there may be some truth to it. But focus on what other facts might also be true. For example, you can say, "Yes, I may have made a mistake and I can learn from it to make changes next time." Another powerful strategy is to replace your inner critic commentary with one of your core qualities. You can watch my previous video where I explain the core quality model, which can help you to map out your main qualities. For example, if your inner critic is telling you that you need to continue to prepare more for an upcoming test, urging you to fall into the trap of over-preparation, but one of your core values is creativity or ask yourself, what would I be doing differently? How can I approach this using my creativity? Let's look at another cognitive behavioral approach to manage your inner critic. This is a cognitive triangle. This diagram shows how our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are all interconnected with each other and influence each other. You can change one by changing another. I explain this more comprehensively in my other video about CBT. Keeping this diagram in mind, you can take the next step and to look more critically at your thoughts and change them if necessary in order to influence your negative feelings. When you want to change thoughts and thinking habits, it is helpful to ask yourself a number of questions to explore and challenge those thoughts. In order to investigate your negative thoughts, the following 3 steps are important. Step 1. Train yourself in recognizing the negative thoughts and what the inner critic says to you. Step 2. Understand why these thoughts are wrong. Step 3. Practice thinking positive and reasonable thoughts. A helpful way to examine your thoughts is to write down the evidence for and evidence against those thoughts, also known as challenging. You normally never do that. We usually assume that all that we think is true. Write down your negative thought and what actual evidence you have for and what evidence you have against the thought. Try to remain as objective as possible. These questions can be helpful in examining and challenging your negative thoughts. You can ask yourself, for example, is it true what I think? Am I jumping to conclusions? Are there any other explanations? Am I expecting myself to be perfect? Can I look at things differently? Take a look at your thoughts from a distance or try to imagine what somebody else would think about it. Continue to question your thoughts. Next questions you can use to find evidence for or against negative thoughts. Let's look at this example. The inner critic of this man tells him that he is stupid because he failed his exams when he was 12, his ex called him stupid many times, and so on. But after he looked at things differently, he was able to find more convincing evidence against his negative thoughts. You can use this same format to write down your own thoughts and evidence that applies to you. The goal of this approach is to develop or reinforce thoughts that provide a logical explanation for the same event, have more explanatory power than the unhelpful or negative thought, and which makes you feel and behave better. The more credible the thought, the stronger its influence. In order to master the helping thought, you must put some effort into practicing on a regular basis. After some training, which can take days or weeks, you will notice that you get a little more skillful in applying the new thoughts. You may also notice that you feel different and that you do things differently. Sometimes it's not possible to find a solution, but it's always possible to choose how you will respond to a situation. For example, you are not able to change that something bad has happened to someone from your family or a good friend, but it's possible to offer support to that person. It could be the best response to the situation. Using this problem-solving mindset, it's often possible to interrupt unhelpful negative critical thoughts and force your critic to work in new, more helpful ways, because the inner critic will never fully vanish. He is one of our survival strategies, but you can start to think about your inner critic differently. Look at your critic as somebody who tries to help you solve problems, make right choices, and tries to protect you in some way. Still, he doesn't always offer the right kind of help. So try not to take his words so personally and not believe him too quickly. Over time, his voice can become weaker, more muted, still annoying sometimes, but no longer overwhelming. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell before you go. But also give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to express your thoughts in the comments down below or on my Facebook or Instagram pages. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.